Friends of Formula One, Ferrari is bringing ADUO 2 straight to Monza in front of their home crowd. And it comes packed with a larger turbocharger, plus a hidden upgrade to the MGUK that the Federation quietly authorized months ago through a confidential circular sent to all the teams. The exclusive was broken by Giuliano Ducessa in the pages of Corriere della Sera, and the technical leap compared to the first ADUO is expected to be absolutely massive. We're talking a completely rethought turbine and compressor, 10 millimeters larger in size, a new approach to temperature management, repositioning of key internal components, a total software recalibration, and the real bombshell, the possibility of acting on the electrical side of the power unit, not just the combustion engine. Then in Hungary, 7 days from now, we get the second ADUO checkpoint, and a seriously poisonous political game is already brewing. Mercedes has the right to bring their own ADUO, but they might choose not to, purely to block Red Bull from accessing their own update. The trick? The system only looks at the combustion engine, where Brackley is still behind Milton Keynes. And on top of all that, Hungary brings another stunning move from the Federation, which has officially confirmed 4 straight mode zones for active aerodynamics across the circuit. A configuration that will directly benefit the SF26 with its lower raw power output, and one that will chip away at one of Mercedes' biggest strengths on the straights. Hamilton is buzzing and has openly said there are more updates coming to close the gap, while even Antonelli and Leclerc have both confirmed that Ferrari is going to be very strong in Budapest. If you don't want to miss any updates on Ferrari and Formula One, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel to stay in the loop. Now let's get straight into the full breakdown. Let's start with the biggest story shaking the entire paddock right now. Giuliano Ducessa, writing in Corriere della Sera, dropped the most significant exclusive of recent days. Ferrari's second engine upgrade, ADUO 2, could arrive directly at Monza in September. Despite a solid performance in Belgium, where Leclerc finished second and Hamilton fourth, the most energy-demanding circuit on the calendar exposed the power deficit that still exists relative to Mercedes and Red Bull powertrains. The first ADUO had narrowed the gap slightly, those 5 or 6 horsepower brought to Austria, but the second step is expected to deliver a much more decisive jump forward. The stated goal is to arrive in Italy with a stronger engine and finally challenge Mercedes even on the long straights of the Temple of Speed. Now let's look at what is actually inside ADUO 2. The difference compared to the first update is going to be enormous, and this is not simply a hardware refresh. The headline changes involve the turbocharger, with both the turbine and compressor completely redesigned and enlarged, moving toward a concept closer to what Mercedes have been running, which represents the real technical benchmark right now. The size difference is around 10 millimeters because the regulations do not allow teams to go beyond certain limits, but it is still a very significant jump. The true potential of ADUO 2 is exponential because when you change core hardware, you also have to recalibrate all the software parameters, which opens the door to a completely new philosophy of temperature management and even the repositioning of certain key components. The combined benefits will be far greater than just the sum of the individual new parts. And here comes the most dramatic and least known technical detail of the whole story. In theory, a team should only be able to improve one specific slot when bringing an engine upgrade. But according to very credible paddock sources, when a team is technically only allowed to improve the combustion engine, they can in practice also act on the MGUK, which is the electrical component of the power unit. This came from a circular sent by the Federation to all teams to clarify exactly how the ADUO system works. And this was not a recent communication. This document landed many months ago. Ferrari already knew back in 2025 that they were going to start the season with a significant engine deficit. That is precisely why the corrections built into ADUO 2 were being designed and developed well before the first race of the year. A plan thought through in every detail. Now let's move to the most fascinating and politically charged part of the whole picture. In Hungary, 7 days from now, the second ADUO checkpoint takes place, which is the second performance measurement counting from Canada. And this is where a real strategic game explodes. Mercedes has the right to bring their own ADUO, but according to several sources, they may choose not to, in order to deny Red Bull the right to their own upgrade. How does that work? Under the ADUO system, only the combustion engine is evaluated, and evidently the Mercedes combustion unit is still behind Red Bull's thermal engine. Red Bull will have to accept this reality because everyone agreed that the parameters should be limited purely to the combustion side. Arguing that Mercedes has the overall best power unit counts for almost nothing under the regulation because the assessment is purely thermal. And now the big story for the Budapest weekend that is about to begin. The Federation has officially confirmed the Hungaroring layout will feature 4 straight mode zones, spread across the main straight and 3 other shorter acceleration sections around the circuit. Under the new regulations, straight mode zones allow cars to run in their low-drag, active aerodynamic configuration on those sections, meaning the car faces less resistance through the air, which makes energy saving much easier. This gives teams much more freedom in how they deploy their electrical energy and lets them distribute it more efficiently across the lap, rather than concentrating it only on the longest straights. This setup will benefit cars like the SF26 that have less raw power, and it will reduce one of Mercedes' key advantages on the faster sections of the track. Let's now look at all the other reasons why the Hungaroring is a dream circuit for Ferrari. Budapest is historically one of those venues where raw engine power has the least influence on the final result. Very short straights, a huge number of corners, and lap time that depends above all on chassis quality, aerodynamic downforce, and traction out of the slow corners. For exactly this reason, the power deficit that still exists on the SF26 will matter far less here than it did at circuits like Spa or Monza. Budapest is also an extremely energy-rich circuit, thanks to the many heavy braking zones that allow a high level of electrical energy recovery and drastically reduce the risk of superclipping, that painful phenomenon where the battery runs out on the straight that cost Ferrari so much in Belgium. Vasseur himself said, and I'm quoting, "I'm fairly confident, I see the Hungaroring as a massive opportunity, perhaps the best one of the year." And we should also keep in mind that Ferrari is preparing another major update package for the first race after the summer break, the third big aerodynamic step, scheduled for Zandvoort. These upgrades, combined with the power unit development, could genuinely shift the balance in a championship that is far from decided. Hamilton is absolutely buzzing right now. Speaking to Sky UK, the 7-time world champion said, and I quote directly, "I think it's really amazing to see the performance we're getting. We're continuously improving the car, and we have more things coming to try to close that gap." And speaking to Sky Italia about Hungary, he added, "I think this car is going to be strong in Hungary. If we find the right setup and don't make any mistakes, then we can get to where we deserve to be." Ferrari currently sits second in the Constructors' Championship, just 45 points behind Mercedes, and if the engine leap is as real as reported, the fight is wide open. And now, the chapter everyone is talking about, because the most stunning confirmation comes from Andrea Kimi Antonelli himself, Ferrari's main rival in the Drivers' Championship, who openly admitted ahead of the Hungarian race that Ferrari is going to be very strong in Budapest. Charles Leclerc said the same thing after Spa, confirming it will be a circuit where they go very fast. The technical consensus across the paddock about what could be a perfect weekend for Ferrari is remarkable. Antonelli currently looks untouchable in the driver's standings, but Ferrari can take advantage of the difficulties that his teammate George Russell continues to face with his Mercedes. And let's not forget that Ferrari is the only team besides Mercedes to have won at least one Grand Prix this season, a trend that keeps the door open for anything. Ferrari is quite literally playing on every front at the same time right now. ADUO 2 confirmed for Monza by Corriere della Sera, featuring a larger turbocharger, new temperature management, full software recalibration, and a possible hidden upgrade to the MGUK, all of it planned since 2025. This championship is anything but over.